All right, so hello, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back. I don't know what y'all day was like today, but I hope it was amazing. And so, welcome back to the F It series, our F It show. As you come on, you already know the drill. Say hey, hi, hello, say something. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if this is your first time ever seeing me or coming in contact with me, I am your girl, Carlecka Basnight-Menendez. Yes, all of that. And you all, I am having a hot flash, okay? But you already know that I am in menopause, been in it for over 10 years, and I will not be quiet about it, because where are my Black women at talking about it? I don't see y'all out here talking about it, and it is a discussion that we must have. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. I just wanted to let you all know, look, I have my tea and I have my napkin, okay? Because it is what it is. But tonight we have an amazing guest, as all of our guests have been amazing, right? I can't pick one. I can't say, oh, that was my favorite, because all of them are my favorite so far. And something that has started on March the 8th, you all, we've been going in 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, since March the 8th. And guess what? It's not even stopping. So let me say this before we even bring our guest on. What is the F It show all about? Because those who've been tuning in, you're probably like, okay, I didn't hear her pray. I didn't hear her talk about Jesus, but she out here effing it up. Yes, we are. We are effing it up in the world. And what are we saying? We're faithing it. We're igniting and elevating our faith. We are facing our challenges, because I'm not exempt. You're not exempt. Nobody is exempt from challenges and obstacles. And we are being committed to fulfilling our purpose. So that's what our guests, we're having authentic, transparent conversations about our successes, our struggles, and giving some words of encouragement to our listeners out there. And so if you have questions or anything, put it in the chat. And if you have not already, go ahead and hit that share button, because we don't hold any information. And so our guest today, or tonight, this evening, whatever time it may be where you are, Nikki Rogers, you all. And I had the pleasure of meeting her. Some of you all may be thinking, she must have been knowing all these people for a long period of time. No, we didn't grow up. No, I've never met her face to face, but we had one conversation that connected us. You all, I think a 15 to 30 minute conversation turned into maybe an hour or over, but it was a phenomenal conversation. So I definitely had to have her on, and I was a part of her amazing podcast. And so look, you all, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring our guest on in. Hey, Nikki.
Hello, F It squad. Carlecka, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you this evening.
Look, I'm excited to have you. I mean, the first time that we connected, it was such, you all, and I believe in divine connections, but truth be told, you don't connect with everyone the same way. You all, that's just real talk. And if you looking to connect with everyone the same way, you might want to check your own self, because you're probably looking for validation. I'm just going to say it. You're probably looking for validation, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for meaningful, like-minded connections. And so let me hop over to the chat really quick, because I love to shout those out who are already in the building. Look, some of these ladies, Nikki, have been on here every single night since March the 8th, right? Every single night. And so, hey, Selena says, hi, Nikki. Look,
hey,
y'all are showing Nikki some love in the chat.
Ooh, I love your icon.
Yes.
That lady looks like she's having fun.
Yes, Selena B and Keetra's been here every single night. Look, they already know. Keetra said, I already shared. Selena has already shared. Keetra says, hello. Hey, Carmen. So good evening, ladies. You already know what to do. But I want to say thank you to you all, because you keep showing up. You keep supporting. You keep engaging. And we appreciate you. Right? Now, I'll tell you all the truth. Even if no one was up here, guess what? We still gonna have a conversation. We are still gonna have a conversation, simply because, you all, when I first started out, I wasn't an international speaker or anything. I started out on Facebook Live. I want to empower women. Let me get some words of encouragement every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Every Wednesday. And I have the proof in the binder. And y'all might be like, in the binder? Yes, because I used to type up what I was going to talk about. But now when I connect the dots, guess what? I can repurpose that content on so many different levels. And so that's just a tip, you all. You already have what's in your hands, right? Use what's in your hands. And you're probably thinking, I don't have content. I don't have this. Go in your binder, go in them journals that you have about 5, 10, 15 of them, and you have some content. And so you all, that's just a little tip, y'all. Look, we giving some tips too. So our guest tonight, Miss Nikki Rogers, you all. So number one, and Nikki, I know you sent me another order and I probably pulled up the wrong one. So you all look. Look.
It's fine. It's all true. It's fine.
Right, it's all facts, y'all. It's all facts because we don't come up here with no fluff. Y'all let them know in the chat. We don't come up here with no fluff. It ain't no pre-recorded. It's no sent out questions ahead of time. So no, we just having conversation. And so she's proud alumni of North Carolina A&T State University.
Aggie pride.
Look, everyone loves to represent their college, NSU. All day long. Norfolk State University, HBCU. Look, I'm just saying.
HBCU love. It's okay.
Yeah. And so she's an avid reader, you all. Her favorite authors are Alice Walker, Toni Morrison, and Octavia Butler. You all, we got to read, okay? There's a lot to read. And I know they have so many different ways of getting this information and pouring into yourself, whether it's through Audible. I have Audible and different things too, because while I'm at work, I can't break open a book sitting at work. But I have my headphones in and I'm feeding myself. Let's see. She generated 6 figures. Y'all type that in the chat. 6 figures in revenue within 12 months of transitioning from corporate. Now, this is amazing. This is why I say everything is in alignment, even when it comes to our guest, because our guest last night, she transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship. Y'all, I'm thinking this confirmation for some of us, okay? So generated 6 figures. How many of us are in business and we're like, you know what? I want to get to that 6 figures. So we're going to dive into that too, because it wasn't her just sitting and praying and waiting and not doing the work. Number 4, passionate about helping entrepreneurs develop the sustainable. Let me say that. Sustainable. She ain't doing no get rich quick things and all of this stuff and one and done and all magic. It don't work like that, y'all. But helping entrepreneurs develop sustainable business through mindset, strategy, and connections. Ooh, mindset, strategy, and connections. And she is the host of the Women Thriving in Business podcast, which is a phenomenal podcast. So if you have not tuned into that, you can definitely connect and get more information as well. This is Nikki's information link, and I think I'm going to change that like that. So Nikki, welcome. And I want to just say, first of all, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and all of those things to join us on the Effie series. You all, it's a whole squad, it's a whole movement going on, and I didn't even realize it, Nikki. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to do this for the month of March, highlighting phenomenal women, getting their backstories, what they're doing next. And we are already booked up, you all, for April. So that's why I say we have to take action, right? We got to take action. And that's just what our guest has done, taking action. So Nikki, let's start, because I know everyone is probably wondering, like, in 12 months, she generated 6 figures. So let us know first, what did you transition from? Like, what did you do in corporate? And then what made you want to say, you know what, I want to do this transition?
Sure. And Carlecka, I do want to say thank you so much for having me on. You were one of my favorite guests on the podcast. And you were one of the most downloaded episodes. So people really resonated with your story.
Amazing.
And just before I answer that question, the idea of taking action is we met through SpeakerCon back in October.
Yes.
And y'all, I have been talking about creating a podcast for 6 months, talking about it. And when I got to SpeakerCon, there were the way Dr. Cheryl Wood had the engagement set up, like you could set up conversations around topics that you were interested in. So I saw someone posted like, oh, I'm looking for guests for my podcast. And I was like, well, I'm looking for guests for my podcast that I have been thinking about. So In those 3 days, I created an interest form. I created the link in my Acuity, and I was like, "Hey, if any of y'all are interested in being on this podcast, I have a podcast." And people signed up, y'all.
Nikki, that is look. She took action after looking and like, okay, wait. They say they're looking for guests. I'm looking for some guests too. Let me go ahead and create. But this is the thing. Like you said, you have been thinking about it. We said this last night. Quit thinking, trying, and wondering. Do it. That's what effort is all about. It's about going out there, effing it up, quit sitting on the idea. So if Nikki never would have even been a part of SpeakerCon, she would have eventually did the podcast. But but then, were you surprised that you actually had people sign up?
I was surprised because there's all these speakers there. I mean, there were like 70 some speakers,
yes.
And I just attended as a guest. And first of all, it's like the people who said yes had been on the platform, like they had spoken, and I was like, oh, okay. And then it was like, oh, I actually have to make this happen because I just created an interest form, but then I had to like schedule people and do all these things. I had to like make it happen. And yeah, it was a little shocking. And kind of like you said about this series, you thought it was just going to be through March, and now you're booked to May. And so like whenever you start something, like, God, the universe, all the things conspire to make you do what you say you want to do. So I just wanted to mention that, like, take action.
I love it though, because if you never would have even put yourself out there to say, yeah, I'm looking for guests too. That was the perfect timing right then and there. And I know some of us, right, I don't believe in perfectionism, but I do believe in alignment, where at that moment, as being a guest, that gave her the push that she needed to start the podcast. Now, have you looked back on starting it? Do you regret starting it? Of course
not at all. I mean, I've met some wonderful people like you. It led to this, and I've just by having the podcast and then posting about it on LinkedIn, and I have friends and people, connections coming out the woodwork, and they're like, I see what you're doing.
Yep.
Now, they might not ever listen to the podcast, but they see I created it, and they see like it's showing up again and again. And so it creates the momentum, and people take you more seriously. Like you take yourself more seriously. Like I'm a podcast host, right? That says something. And it's not about the podcast itself, but it's just that you created something and like you gave birth to it. And that's almost like I felt like that. Like I literally gave birth to this. And I was so nervous. Like, is anyone gonna listen? Let
me put a pin in that right now, you all, because what have we been talking about, even in our prayer group? It's birthing season. So when you said that, I'm just like, you all, that is confirmation, right? I don't just be saying stuff just to willy-nilly, like I like hearing myself talking all this stuff. No, it's birthing season, and Nikki just said it. She had to birth it. What if she didn't know? The people, the connections. Once again, this is what she does. Helping entrepreneurs develop sustainable businesses through mindset, strategy, and connections. But how can you connect with people if you're not even making them aware of what you got going on? Or if you're sitting on the idea, waiting for the resources, waiting on the support, waiting on this. And you all, to create a podcast, you can create one for free. Anchor.fm. Let me give you that's another tip. Anchor.fm. If you're saying, hey, I don't have, that's free. So Nikki, so that was one of her birthing moments, you all, and that's powerful. Okay. So now she's going to tell us a little bit about her transition. Like, what were you doing in corporate? And then what made you, because I know we have listeners in our audience saying, you know what, I want to transition. I want to get into full-time entrepreneurship. That's me. You're talking to me tonight too. I want to do that transition, and it can be scary because of all the things. And I'm not even really scared. I'm just making sure that things are in place. I'm not waiting on everything perfect, but some things need to be in place. So walk us through yours from the time you had the thought of, okay, I'm a transition. Let us know how you did it. I know some people be like, I just did it and I just took the leap. So let us know.
Sure. So I spent 12 years in management consulting, doing like large scale transformation work for the government. And so I will say I always kind of had in my mind that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I think part of being in corporate is like you get really comfortable. And you know what? I was appreciated, but the truth of the matter is I was not valued. So it would be like, Nikki's great, Nikki's wonderful, bring Nikki in for this, blah, blah, blah. But when we start talking about that money, that promotion, it was a different story. It was always like, oh, you just got to do one more thing, or you just got to wait and see. And, it was always something.
Wow.
There was always a promise, just enough to keep you there. And again, it was comfortable. People like me. I was, I could do really what I wanted to do. So I say appreciated, but not valued. And those seeds had started, percolating, right? And what really pushed me is at the end of 2016, my mother passed away.
Wow.
Suddenly. And, it was New Year's Day 2017. My brother and I were sitting in a funeral home making final arrangements instead of planning for our annual New Year's Day dinner.
Wow.
So it's January 1st, 2017. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I thought it was like the worst day of my life. I mean, because that was really the day it was like, oh, this is real, right? Like, she's really gone. We're sitting here making arrangements, like we're doing grown people stuff, right? That you don't expect to be doing. And so later on that day, I'm looking through some paperwork at our house, and I found some documents where she was working on a business plan. And my mom had always wanted to have a shoe store. She loved shoes. She always wanted to have a shoe store. And she was finally working on this plan. She had retired like 2 years before. She was working on this plan. And her why, like she had written down like why she wanted to do this. And she wanted to provide for the education for her 5 grandchildren.
Wow.
And at that moment, I was like, life is too short.
Yes.
It's too short to not do what you love. And it's also too long to be miserable doing what you're doing.
Ooh.
And I was like, something's got to change. Wow. And, over the next year and a half or so, I went back to work. No, it's like a year. Yeah. Like 15 months or so. Mm-hmm. I went back to work. I was miserable. First of all, I was grieving. I was like all over the place. And, going to work, and I'm like, my whole world has shifted. And I'm still over here doing the same exact thing. I'm not moving further. Like, what's happening right now? And I was like, I gotta transition.
So Nikki, let me interject here, you all, because we're gonna unpack this, because Nikki just said a lot right there. Number one, an unexpected death, right? You all, the grief. And then she said, this is January. They was leading up to their annual family dinner, and they're sitting in a funeral home, planning, not a friend, but her mother. Mm-mm. Right? Not someone in college or someone that you just met or someone you didn't, but this is her mom. So then having to go back to work, and I love what you said, and people are typing it in the chat, life is too short. Look, you all, that in itself, if that's all you get from this F It series on tonight, that's going to push you into action, life is too short. We just was reading in our prayer group, I posted yesterday, James 4:13 through 17. And it was talking about, and you all, I'm paraphrasing, right? It was talking about boasting in your day-to-day things that we get up. And what I took from it was a lot of times we get up, we get to moving, and we don't consult God. We don't honor that we have another opportunity, right? We don't honor that we have another opportunity. We get up, I got to go to work, I got to go make money, I got to do this, as if every day is guaranteed to us. This is a prime example, you all, that every day is not guaranteed. She said she was going through documents and she saw where her mom had started the business plan. Like, we're unpacking this because I know that's an epic moment right there. That's a pivotal moment to say, you know what? I don't have time to waste. I have to do it. Her mom had already retired. Think about it, you all. People are retiring after working 20, 30 years for someone else. So when do you stop to say, and you'll be dedicated to these places, right? Knowing that when you're gone, they may give your family a card. They're not going to allow everyone to be off to a 10-year service. And they're already going to hire someone else, right? They're not waiting until you're in the ground to hire anyone else. They already have applications on standby. And so when you think of that, retiring, and now this is when she finds her mom starting her business plan. But then it was too late. But then Nikki had to go back to work. How many of us have had to go through grief, go through menopause or whatever you're going through, and you have to go back to work, pretend, because all they're really concerned about, like she said earlier, appreciated but not valued. It's a difference. Appreciated and not valued. We have in the comments, Keisha said, yes, it's too short not to do what you need to do and too long to keep doing the same thing and not being fulfilled. You all, how many of us are sitting being fulfilled, but we feel like, you know what, I have to go and do this. I have to, let me put this disclaimer, ain't no one telling you to go quit your job. Okay, Nikki or Carlecka didn't say go quit your job. What we're saying is, in the midst of while you're doing what you have to do what you want to do as well. We can't keep making excuses of why we can't work on our goals and dreams. If you can give someone else 40 plus hours every single week, when do you work on your dreams? But she went back to work while she was still grieving. Think about it, you all. When we go to work, what we get 3 grievance days? They don't care who it is in your family. You get 3 days. But they still expect you to perform. That was her pivotal moment to say, you know what? She said something has to change. Continue going, Nikki.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, in the midst of that grief, one of the things is you have to ask for what you need. So one of the things I had to be open and honest, and I at my company, they had a thing where you could ask people to donate leave to you.
Right.
I did it because I was like, you know what? This is not going to work for me to go back to work at this point. Wow. And I took that time off, and I mean, was it enough? No, I don't think it's not something you get over. And, grief hits you. Like I wrote a chapter about it. It washes over you. You don't know where you'll be. I mean, I had many a days where I had to go to the bathroom because I just was like, go to the restroom and be like, oh, I need to compose myself because this is not gonna work.
Why in our society, like, we feel like we have to compose ourselves. We have to keep it together. We have to make it look like, you know what? Let me go cry in silence, even though I'm really screaming inside that I'm not okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not okay, but let me go to the bathroom. Let me cry it out, but then let me, throw some water on my face, do what I need to do. And if someone asks me, hey, are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. You all, we can't keep doing that. But you're right, Selena. Grief can kill
you. Yep.
And look, this is why I say we just have transparent conversation, right? And so we're talking about her transition from corporate to having her own, into full-time entrepreneurship. This is what pushed her to say something has to change. What is pushing you, or what is going to light some fire under you to say, and it may not be full-time entrepreneurship, but it could just be you walking in your purpose. It could be you sharing your story. What is it that it's going to take to push you out of your comfort zone? What is it? And this is real. Selena says it almost took her out. This is real.
Yeah. I mean, there's, sorry for your loss, Selena, but it's one of those things where you're like, why don't I want to get out of bed? It was deep, and it was sadness, and it was anger, and it was all the all the things
all the
dealing with. And all of that though did push me to be like, there's more to life, right? And I wanted to be able to say to my son, like, mommy did this, built this, created this, impacted these people, those type of things. And in fact, I told my son the other day, I said, oh, well, I'm just gonna quit work and do something. He's like, but you own your job. Like, you can't, like, you can't do
You just can't do that.
And I was like, okay, fair enough. And so, that was the impetus. So, like I said, it took me about 15 months before I actually left my company. And in the meantime, we started saving money. And what I realized, like, you spend a lot of extra money. I know I did. I spent a lot of extra money. So I started saving money so that when I was like, it's time to go, yes, I had a cushion to be able to say it's time to go. And one of my coaches early on that I worked with while I was still in corporate, and she was talking about her transition and how she went about her business. And one of the things she said is, I'm not out here like quote unquote ambulance chasing. I get to choose the clients I work with. I'm not out here desperate because I planned and I gave myself runway so that I could seek out the clients I wanted to have. And that always stayed in my mind. Like, I don't want to quit this, quote unquote good job and then be over here starving. So I planned financially, started looking at my numbers. Okay, how much do I need to save up in order to be able to comfortably start my business out, give myself some runway, be able to do some of the things I know I needed to do. And, you can do that while you're working. You can invest in coaches. You can invest in some of the courses and some of the things that you need to do and need to understand in order to start your business. But I gave myself the gift of that time afterward, because like I said, I was dealing with grief. I'm still going to work every day and I couldn't add one more thing.
Right.
Yes, know your numbers. And so as I was starting to transition, honestly, it was fate that led me to quit when I did.
I was getting ready to ask you, like, when did you know that now is the time? And that's going to vary from person to person, where you have to have that confirmation. You have to know that, okay, now is my moment to exit, or whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm. I started planning it and I was like, what does the opportune time look like as far as like my timeline? Like, by such and such a date, I want to be out. I need to save this amount of money in order to be able to meet my commitment to myself.
Right.
And there's a bit of loyalty to, what was going on in my work environment, which did work out to my good. So I will say the day I called my boss, it was in January 2018, and said I was resigning. And I think I gave like 6 weeks notice. I mean, something ridiculous. And so, because there was a lot of things happening, and I was like, give time to transition. Just the position I was in needed to transition. I needed to like almost hire someone or select someone to come and take my role. Most people, 2 weeks, you're gonna be fine. So that day I called my boss, that conversation did not go well. She was not happy or excited. And was like, this is out of the blue. When anybody tells you this is out of the blue, whether it's a boss, somebody you're in a relationship with, when somebody says that, they haven't been paying attention. Women don't do anything out the blue. We give you chance after chance after chance, and then one day we say no.
Right. Or enough is enough. Right.
And when you say this is out of the blue, this is all of a sudden, you have not been paying attention. So that was just confirmation. Like you make a decision and then somebody confirms, oh, right. That was right. Yeah. But I would say the day I resigned, that I said I was, here's your notice. That was in the morning, about 10 a.m. And after that call, like I was crying, like I was upset. I was like, one, because she confirmed what I already knew.
Right.
And you don't ever want to be right. You like
Right. You want to give them just like, I'm gonna give you a little grace. Like that ain't really how you feel about it, but
right. You want to be. And so that was about 10 a.m. in the morning. Around 2 p.m., I got a call, and it was from like a former coworker who had left like years ago. And he was like, "Hey, Nikki, somebody gave me your number. They said you're starting a business. Can you come facilitate the strategic planning workshop for us?" I was like, "What?" So when I let that go, I mean, immediately somebody was like, here's a project. And that was my first client.
wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, God. All right.
But did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear this? That right there is profound. So let's back up just a little bit. So the supervisor, turn it in. Okay. Oh, this is out of the blue. Okay. Well, whatever your perception of it is, it wasn't, but I've been playing it for a minute now on the back end. But then, y'all, this is the powerful part of that. She let something go, right? And even though she was still there for that short period of time, because 6 weeks is a short period of time, there was already an opportunity. Meaning, when you decide to get out of your comfort zone, when you decide to make the choice that you're going to play full out, when you decide to release some things, that's when you're able to receive some things. She did not know. And however the word got around and that quick, because you all know word, it don't take that long. Word of mouth don't take long at all. But right then and there, her first client. But what if she never said, I'm going to step out and start my own business? No one would have known that she even wanted to start a business. So that is powerful. Look, Selena says, release and she gains something. How many of us need to release some things and some people in our life so that we can receive? And some of us got problems receiving, right? Don't have a problem receiving anything. You deserve. When you understand that you deserve it, right? You deserve whatever it is that you want. And so when you finally left, what were your emotions? Because I've heard different things from people. Some people really felt a disconnect. Some people are like, oh my God, that first day, it just felt amazing. Then some people said they were very emotional. Like, okay, I'm really running my own business.
So the funny thing is when I tell my manager, but when I tell the project, they're like, oh my God, what is happening? And the leader at the time, he was like, what can we do to make you stay? And I was like, I'm out of here. He was like, so would you be willing to come back as a contractor? And I was like, no. And then he was like, because I was.
She like, no, I don't want no attachments to this.
And then he was like, name your price. And I said something ridiculous. And he was like, okay. Like,
so
he was like, let me work it out. Let me work on it and I'll get back to you. And I literally, my last day at work was a Friday and I walked right back in the door on a Monday. So and people were like, did you quit? Don't hate the player, hate the game, because I walk back in here and y'all are paying me twice as much as I was getting paid before. So,
right, and think about it. So they ask you, how much what can we offer you to stay? She stood firm, you all, in saying, no, I'm out of here. I'm not staying. I'm releasing. But guess what? Once again, release and receive. She released because they really wasn't going to give her too much more, probably 9 times out of 10. They, companies say these things and it might start off good and they still going to try to cap you. But then, look, you all, she got to name her own price. Come on. on, naming her own price. So some of us are holding ourselves hostage to the blessings that God had for us because we don't want to release anything, not even the stuff that ain't even doing or serving us no purpose. We don't want to release them. Let's hop over to this chat. Serene says, resigning was the best thing I ever did. Keitra says, leaving my job was the absolute best. Look, y'all blessing me on tonight. What you say? Selena says, but you took that step and showed them you was not playing and they needed you. Good for you. Right. So when you step in, and it wasn't like she was doing something. They already knew her skill set. They already knew what she could offer. So now they're paying her double to come in, and she can. What you was there? What 1 day, 2 days? Did a 1 or 2 day training?
I mean, nothing. You know, I think the other thing is that when somebody offers you something to keep you from leaving, like that made me realize, oh, they could have offered me this before. So all those rules and regulations go out the door when people want to make things happen.
Come on, but we got to make things happen for yourself.
Right. So I'm like, no, I'm not. This is not a demand situation. This is I'm leaving. And honestly, because I had saved up the money and done the things, like literally, I was quitting to go sit at home.
That's why God said, no, you're not either.
Right. I was like, I had 5 trips planned 2018. 5.
Oh, you was going over. Look, she was scrambling.
And I was like, I got 5 trips planned. Wow. I'm quitting this job and all this is going to happen. And, you know, I'm a big believer in manifesting things and putting it out there and saying what you want and not like limiting yourself by what you think you have.
Yes.
I did all 5 of those trips. Wow. You know, we didn't go into debt. Like, I mean, like all the things, right? And so, Serene said she had to resign.
Oh my God, I love this because there's someone else out there. And you all, yes, we're laughing at different things, but I know this is helping someone because there's someone sitting or listening saying, you know what, I want to make that transition, but I am afraid. I want to make that transition, but I really don't know how I should exit. And not talking about your 2-week notice or the notice on your job, but having that exit plan and strategy so that you don't go in debt and that it's a smooth transition. We didn't say it was going to be easy, but a smooth transition, because even in entrepreneurship, you have challenges. There are challenges, but I love what you said, Nikki, because I believe in manifestation too. Like, y'all, manifest what you want, and it is not impossible. Like, did y'all just hear her? In the time of putting in the resignation letter to the time walking out the door to say, I ain't coming back, I'm out of here, she already had 2 offers. Like 2 offers. That's alignment. This is why I believe once we step out, everything that we need is already on the path. Some of us are just not on the path, or some of us are not even on the right path. Okay, we doing all of the things that we ain't supposed to be doing. You in someone else's lane, you in this lane and that lane, and you playing hopscotch, double dutch, merry-go-round. You doing all seesawing. You doing everything that you're not supposed to be doing. Walk in your lane, stay in your lane, embrace your lane, and I can guarantee, like, I believe in the power of manifestation. So that just hit a nerve for me because I'm like, yes, you can see it before you see it. You can dream it. You can believe it. You do the work. You can have it. Why not? Why not? Why shouldn't she be able to transition from her job and go on her 5 trips? Right? Some of us think too small, like, okay, if I transition, I'm not going to spend no money. I'm not doing this. Like she said, she recognized where she was spending just spending money. So she had some cutbacks. She rearranged some things. That's wisdom. That's just wisdom to say, okay, I don't need to spend this. And then she understood her goal. She understood that, okay, I'm not going to be in this place. And so, Nikki, you said you left in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask this thing, because for some entrepreneurs, for you to do 6 figures in a 12-month time frame, in 1 year, you all, there are some entrepreneurs who've been in business for years like I'm talking about years, why haven't they made the six figures? Possibly just giving some broad insight.
You know, there's lots of things, and I do a lot of research. There's lots of institutional systemic things that keep us from being great. And I will say this, and not to apologize, but to be honest, if you are not making money, or you're just barely making money, you have a hobby. You don't have a business.
Y'all heard that?
So you have to actually decide what you're doing.
Come on.
And I firmly believe if you say I have a business, I'm trying to create something great. I'm not just hustling. I'm not just trying to get a little bit of money to do this or do that, but I'm actually trying to create something. You're going to think about it differently.
Right.
But, you know, the reason why, I mean, I think a lot of folks who have been, you know, in corporate America, like, you got to recover from the psychological trauma that is visited upon Black women in the workforce.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So you got to break free of that. That's one thing, and not like, oh, I always got, you know, there's something about it that does push you to be small, even though in all the organizations I've been in, Black women are the backbone. We do all the things. We are the wind under the wings. We are like, I mean, you know, like, and I think we get so used to being like behind the scenes or supporting someone, but when you have to think about how you are going to, do that for yourself, right? You have to think differently. I think a lot of us want to do it by ourselves.
Now that's Nikki. That right there that's real good, because a lot of people you hear, they're always like, I don't have support, and I don't have support. I think the support comes from, because once again, mindset. We have this mindset of the people that we want to support us. And when those people don't support, now we're discouraged. When those people don't show up, now you don't have support. When honestly, I can honestly really say a lot of the people that I have met during this time of, and I've only been in an entrepreneur last year in the speaking and coaching realm for 1 year. Last year made a year. And people are like, oh my God, you just done so much. Well, number one, I'm consistent and I know what I want. But I love what you said right there. Like, we have to change our mindset. And this isn't going to come overnight, because we have so many other things that have been impacted on us and in us, and these learned behaviors to say, hey, you always got to over deliver. You always got to do this. I don't have to over deliver. I just need to be me and deliver.
And I would say, me and my girlfriends talk about this all the time. Our 40% is somebody else's 100%. So you can just be, you can be regular, mediocre, whatever word you want to say, basic, and still make money. There's plenty of people out here doing that, and that's not to aspire to that, but it's not about, you don't have to be perfect. Excellence you strive for, but you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
And start something, you know. So you made a good point. Like, your family and your friends are not your fans. They might support you, but they're not going to be the people who buy from you, because you're probably offering something different than what they are needing, accustomed to, or whatever. So don't be discouraged because your best girlfriend doesn't understand what you're doing. Don't be discouraged because your mom, your dad, your sister, whoever is like, why are you doing that? Or that takes a lot. You doing a lot of stuff. Like, what do you do? You know, don't be discouraged by that.
Right.
Just be like, yeah, I'm doing this. If you need them to, you know, say a prayer for you, ask them for that. But don't ask them about your business.
Right.
If they're not in business.
Right. I love that because it's a lot of people. You're asking the wrong people for, and I think it even boils down to, once again, validation, self-gratification. Your vision and different things is so much bigger than you that the support from family and all of these things. Yes, I have some support from family, but my product and services, even though we may believe this is what they need, everyone don't want what you have. That's just point blank period. Everyone don't want it, and you can't tell people what they need. Right? People know what they know what they want. We buy what we want. Right? Most people know they need to exercise. We know we need to be healthier. We know we need to pay our bills on time. But how many people have fallen short, not because of the pandemic or situations and challenges, but we just fail to say, oh, I'm gonna pay that later, or I'm gonna do that later. Oh, okay, I'm gonna leave that medical bill right on over there, and it'll go to collections, and then I get right. So a lot of people know what they need to do, but what is it that you really want to do? And I find that that's a difficult question for a lot of people to answer. What do you want to do?
Right. And I think understanding or getting out of your space that right? So if you've been in business, you're not making money, maybe you're not in fertile ground. If you think about a garden, right? Where are you tilling soil? Are you over here in rocky ground, sandy ground? There's no shade over here. Like, why are you trying to sell in this space? You might want to be selling to folks that care about what you're doing, know about what you're doing. So you got to talk about what you're doing. You got to think bigger. I think I saw that someone said that, like, think bigger, talk to people who are going to encourage you to think bigger.
Yes.
Talk to people who will say, when you tell them what you're doing, they lean in and say, oh, have you ever thought about this, this, and this?
Yes.
Take that feedback. Don't get upset, but take that feedback. So leverage the relationships you have. Ask people who know things. Like, a lot of people really want to help you.
They do. They really do.
Right now, Black women, we're trending. Like, everybody want to help us. So ask people questions. They want to help. And if the person you ask doesn't want to help, go and ask somebody else. Yes. But people want to help people who are curious. So back to your question around why you're not making money is, I think, maybe you don't believe you can. Maybe you don't believe you will. Like, you put in a lot of effort and it's not happening. If we look at, the statistics are the average Black woman owned business in America, average revenue is $24,000 a year.
Wow.
$24,000 a year. So somebody's out here like killing themselves, and they're making $24,000 a year. That's the average revenue.
Right. They stressed.
Right.
That health issues, so many other things. And when you really break that down, right, you got to just figure out what you want to do. And even if you say, you know what, because you can make money from your side hustle, right? I get it. A lot of people are like, I don't want to deal with that back end of entrepreneurship and all of those things. But then make money from whatever's in your hands, your side hustle, whatever you want to label it and call it, and make some extra money, right? Like, I remember a time, and I think it was, once again, learned behaviors, things that I went through as my family struggled financially growing up, right? So mentally, I never wanted to struggle financially. So I'm like, you know what? Let me work 3 jobs, because I just needed that cushion. But I was literally killing myself too. Like, darn near driving off the side of the road and stuff, because I was exhausted. I was burnt out. And it really wasn't gaining me any traction.
Right. So, I mean, if you're going to work that hard, work smart, right?
Come on.
So we give you some more stats. So that average, Black women owned business, average revenue is $24,000 a year. How much do y'all think the average revenue is for a white woman owned business? Put some in the chat. What's your guess of what the average revenue for a white woman-owned business is?
Y'all put it in the chat. Put those numbers in the chat. What is your guess on that? Right? And this is real, because this puts things in perspective of us working so hard and feeling like we have something to prove or we have to over deliver. Serene says 60K.
Higher than that.
Wow. This is good, Nikki.
Anyone else got a guess?
We're gonna say about
this will make you mad.
Selena says 75.
More than that.
150. 150.
More than so. Average revenue for a Black woman-owned business, $24,000. Average revenue for a white woman-owned business, $218,000.
Y'all heard that? 218,000. Let me say that number again. 218,000. And guess what? They will keep us working and giving us multiple tasks with no extra money. Point blank, period.
So if we had parity, if we had parity between Black women-owned businesses and the revenue they generate, and women-owned and white women-owned business, an additional $522 billion per year in revenue.
Y'all, if this don't bring, I love that Nikki brought some numbers into perspective, because we don't ever look at these things on the bigger scale, right? Because a lot of us are boxed in just on what we have to do at our household, what we have to do right in front of us. But she just gave us a perspective of looking at it on a bigger scale of, y'all, that gap, $24,000 a year to $218,000. And who we got something to prove to? And for what?
That's the difference between, I start a business and I leave a business to my family. I start a business and I create generational wealth, and I'm over here hustling. That's the difference. And not to say, and I'm not taking anything away from hustlers, but we have to imagine bigger. We have to know that we can do bigger, because we are doing the work.
Yes.
And we need to reap the benefits. We are the fastest growing group of business owners. Black women make up 21% of the women-owned businesses, but we only generate 3% of the revenue.
Y'all, that just gave me a hot flash. Y'all see me over here sweat. That just gave me a hot flash.
So that is what we're like. That's what we're fighting for. That's what we're trying to get to is, and we know there's women out there who are killing it. They're making millions of dollars. There's a couple of $1 billion businesses, but we're putting in the work. We're putting in the work.
Right. Look at Selena.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is ridiculous. It is. So, part of this, my thing about sustainability is like, put the systems in place, get your documentation in order.
Yes.
Get those certifications, because you know what? The government has to do business with minority-owned businesses. And I use that. I don't like using minority-owned businesses, but that's the term they use. But they have to do business with small businesses. So get those certifications. So you at least are on the list.
Wow.
Make sure you have a separate bank account. And I can't tell, you need a business bank account and a personal bank account. They should not mix.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's about you thinking like a business, documenting what's happening in your business's revenue and expenses.
Wow. Y'all, this is good.
So
this is good. Like, this is, because this is perspective. This is what effort is all about. We have to have an effort attitude to say, you know what? No longer am I going to feel that I'm not worthy of making $218,000 a year and plus. No longer am I going to say that I have to remain here and work all of my life for this amount of money, for this amount of time, just to retire to do what? Find another job? This is deep, because this really gives us that perspective. If this don't give us some fire to go do something, I'm just saying, if this doesn't give us some fire to say, you know what, I may be thinking too small. And why am I? This is some soul searching information right here. Because if we say we want to build generational wealth, how do you plan on doing that? You're tired of working for someone else. You're tired of not having that freedom. You're tired, but are you really going to put in the work? Like Nikki said, have the systems in place, you all. And some of these things are not hard to do, right? A separate bank account is not hard to do. I mean, and for asking questions, surrounding yourself with people. Because like Nikki said, there are people out here willing to give you information. There's people out here ready to help you. It just may not be the people that you're expecting to help you. So get those expectations out of your head and ask those who are already walking this thing out. Ask those who are already in the place. This is why I love being around people who are 20, 30, 50 steps ahead of me. Why? Because where I'm going and where I want to go, they're either already there and they're moving on and they're steadily growing too. So guess what? They're surrounding themselves with people who are 50 steps ahead of them. But too many times we want to stay within our circles and keep hanging with the same people, doing the same things because we're comfortable right there. We got to get out of our comfort zone. Stretch yourself a little more. No, I'm not talking about burn yourself out, okay? Because we've been doing that. We done mastered that. We've mastered burnout, okay? Now it's time to really live and increase. I love what Serene said, right? Your vision. Increase your vision, right? We pray the prayer of Jabez, enlarge my territory, bless me, oh God, bless me indeed, and all of these things. And God is not going to withhold anything from us, no good thing, but we got to put in the work. And you may be saying, look, I'm afraid. But what Nikki is saying, put your CEO hat on. Think like a CEO. I don't care if you're in MLM or whatever you're doing, you still need to think like a CEO. And in this time, we've had to pivot in so many different ways. So now you got to be creative. And if you're not the creative one, get someone in your circle that's creative. I love what you said, Nikki, where you said, you know what? When you have a conversation with someone, they should be able to ignite and enlighten something else in you to say, oh, well, have you ever thought about doing this? And this may be another idea. You are not that you're going to work all of those ideas right then and there, but your conversation shouldn't be, oh, well, why you want to do that?
Right. Those are the people you just walk away from. Oh, okay. You're not interested. Right. I mean, it's like when you tell somebody like I'm going on vacation and like you say, oh, I'm going to you say you want to go to the Philippines and they're like, why would you go there? Okay, you're not my people. Like, okay.
Why wouldn't I go there?
Right. Because they're like, oh, I'm going to Vegas or I'm going like and those are great places, but like that's not your people. If somebody's not leaning in, that's not your people. And I think you're right around like you have to be uncomfortable. You have to like step out and one of my mentors is like she always talks about like when you cross this line and you don't know what that line is, but when you cross that line you think differently. There's a before and there's an after. Yes. And when you cross over that line, the people who are behind you, you're like, oh, like you just think differently, right? You just think differently. And now you're like, there's a difference. And that will be uncomfortable. These are going to be your friends. These are going to be your family, this is whatever. Like, and you can still hang out with them.
Right.
You can still kick it. But those are not the people to talk to about your business.
Right. Those are not the people to talk about your big dreams and goals.
Right. They're not those people. They're not those people.
If they don't lean in,
right.
If they don't lean in, then you want to end that conversation with them because that can end up being a damper. And then you start second guessing like, okay, if this Is this really what I should be doing? Well, why you want to be a full-time entrepreneur? Did they lean in? Okay, they didn't lean in. Go ahead. Let's talk about, switch the conversation.
You can talk about the weather. You can talk about the weather. And I always say, Elon Musk is, whatever your feelings about him, but this dude is talking about going to Mars, right? And you, and when you're starting your business, it sounds like you're talking about going to Mars. And to somebody who their frame of reference is, I'm gonna go across town.
Right.
When their frame of reference is going out their comfort zone, is going across town, and you talking about going to Mars, you sound crazy.
Right.
You literally sound crazy.
Right.
And everybody don't want to talk to crazy people. But
True that. You're right about that.
And, and if it's that, it's Diane, okay. We can talk about how about them
like right
nationals, right? Like
anything.
That is nice.
Just change the subject, because everyone does not have that mindset, you all, and we cannot be upset at that. We should not get all razzled and dazzled because people are not being able to relate to what the vision that you have. It's okay, and be okay that everyone is not seeking entrepreneurship. Everyone is not seeking to have it, and that's okay. Even if someone's listening saying, well, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, that's fine. That is perfectly okay. What Nikki has given us tonight is putting things in perspective, from grief to her transition, from her life changing altogether, not just from the death of her mom, right? But that catapulted and gave her like, you know what? I'm not sitting no longer. Nope, I'm going to get a plan. I'm going to get a strategy. I got to change my mindset. Why? Because I'm miserable. Right. But then I had to release some things. So she released some things, so many different things tonight in this series. Release so that you can receive. But you all, now we have to take this information, even from these stats that she's provided us. Don't dwell on the stats, right? You don't have to dwell on the stats. But what you need to do now, do some soul searching and say, okay, how am I get into gear? Who I need to talk to? It sounds like we need to all talk to Nikki, okay? But right, do some soul searching in yourself to see, okay, if I'm already in business, let me revisit my numbers. Let me see, maybe my audience has changed. Maybe my message is not clear and concise. Maybe my copy is not, is not conveying to pull on people's heartstrings. Whatever it is, maybe I need to do some more research. Maybe I need to create another product. Maybe I just need to ask my audience some questions to see what it is they want, and not what I think they need and not what I think they want, but asking exactly, because we are here to solve problems. Mm-hmm. And so what problem are you solving? I think a lot of entrepreneurs have messed up because we want to look at all the pretty stuff. Oh, I got it on my website. Okay, but are you driving traffic? Because you're paying for that. Oh, I got my logo. Okay, that's cute. However, who are you talking to? When I really found out who I was talking to, that's when it has been a game changer for me. That when I niched it down, was like, oh, I just can't talk about I want to empower women and all. What woman? What woman am I going to empower? I had one conversation with a coach, and when she asked me, well, what woman you empower, I was like,
you're like, oh.
So we need to probably hop on another call. Let me go back. But I didn't know it. I didn't know anything with that. And so, but what if I never would have made that call? What if I would have never made that appointment? What if I never would have stepped out of my comfort zone of not feeling like I was dumb or anything because I didn't know? I did not know. But now I know my people. I know my people. I know what they want. I know that a lot of people don't have enough confidence to say, this is what I want to do. We don't have enough consistency to keep showing up. We want to keep hiding behind the brand, or we're just afraid. I get it. Why? Because I was there, or I was living in perfectionism, waiting on the perfect moment. Oh, okay. I'm going to just wait. And it's never going to lean in on that, y'all, because I'm with you. It ain't coming. You got to just step out and do it. And so Nikki, I know we're a little over time, but give us one, give us a word, any wisdom or anything you want to just say to our listeners out there before, because I respect people's time. I respect people's time because she said yes. And look, she's a CEO, but I thank her because if this was good to you, go ahead and put in the chat good, put something, put your efforts, and make sure you share this out, right? Because someone else needs to hear this. It's another woman out there that needs to hear this, not just with the numbers gap, but knowing that it is possible, knowing that when you release some things in your life, guess what? You can receive. And that's what, I don't know what y'all got out of it, but you can type that in the chat as well. But make sure you hit that share button because we don't want to withhold any information from anyone. You don't know. Someone else may be thinking, I want to transition too, but I really don't know how. I really don't. Right. They may need to get in contact with Nikki, right? So she can give them their insight on their mindset, their strategy, and their connections. Selena said this was great. They're putting the efforts in. Effort squad. Yes, effort squad. That's what we're doing. We're effing it up. And that's what Nikki is doing. She made a decision. Once again, effort is about an attitude. You can't go buy it out of Walmart, Macy's, or any store. You can't go up to them saying, can I get a can of effort? They're going to be like, what? They're going to be ready to fight you. Like, who you think you're talking to? But it's about faith in it. Nikki had to step out on faith. She had to believe that she could run a successful business. She had to believe that, you know what, the resources and everything she needed was right in alignment. And then though she had the challenge, right? That was a big challenge she was facing, even though it catapulted her and pushed her to say, you know what, let me go ahead and do it. That was a big challenge. Grief is a challenge. And someone may be out there dealing with grief. We're praying for you. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. We are praying for you. Why? Because we have a community of women. We have a community of women that's praying for you. And if you want to join that community, Women Who Pray, it's right there. Right there. Come on in. We would love to have you because we pray for real. It's not a game. It's not a joke. And we're praying over your businesses. We're praying over our bodies. We're praying over our whole entire lives because we don't have to separate Bible and business, right? It's one entity of you becoming a whole woman, whatever that looks like for you. And so we would love to have you in the community. Lastly, before Nikki give us some last words, if you say, I don't have an effort attitude, I'm just scared to move, period. It's not just entrepreneurship. I'm scared to even act on the little things. Then you want to get into the effort boot camp where we're saying, you know what? We're here. We're going to help you. I'm going to teach you the top 3 things that I've done in my life. And it's 3 things, you all. Consistency. And then you have to join the boot camp for the other 2. You thought I was going to tell you, lean on in. I wasn't. But go ahead and join and get into the boot camp. It is life-changing. I had my own pivotal moment, and that's why I'm saying F it, right? That's why I'm saying F it, because some of you've heard the story, and I'm going to give you the really, really, really 30-second version of it. My aunt, when I got a phone call, one phone call or anything can change your life. One conversation, conference, coach, or anything can change the trajectory of her life. And though she had retired, the day of her retirement, she had a massive heart attack, right? Mm-hmm. After working for someone else all those years, never late, never missing a day. And on the day where she should have been transitioning and people should have been celebrating her, in the midst of getting dressed, she had a heart attack. So not only did she retire, but she retired from this earthly realm forever. So everything else, she didn't even have an opportunity to go into that next level, to go into that next phase. And it was in that moment, after that phone call, I had another mindset. I had a mindset change. You know what, Carlecka, you cannot sit here any longer. You cannot just sit on these visions, on these goals. You have to get up. And that's when I said, F it. And since that time, I know you all see flyers and you see all of these things, but it's because I said F it. It's because I said, you know what? I can't continue to play small. I have to surround myself. I have to go and do my purpose. I have to get up and face it. I have to face my challenges, but more so, I have to be committed to fulfilling my purpose. And guess what, you all? If I didn't, we all wouldn't be sitting here. If I didn't decide to say F it, and I say it every day. Because when you're submitting proposals or you're stretching yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, there is sometimes some things that pop up in your head like, ooh, you might not should do that. F it, I'm doing it anyway. So what are we saying F it to? Rejection, validation. We're saying F it to perfectionism. We're saying F it to these things. It takes an effort attitude to be able to even bring awareness to what you offer. Because someone's going to say no. And guess what? It's okay if they say no. So if that is you and you're saying, ooh, child, I'm scared. I'm hiding behind the brand. I'm playing peekaboo. I'm playing hide and seek. And I'm not using my voice to share my story. Then we want to have you in the F It boot camp. And so, Nikki, give us some last words. Once again, I appreciate you saying yes. They said this was awesome. And thank you. You all, this was real. Like, we don't come up here with no fluff. It's real women, real issues, real solutions. Nikki, give us some last words.
I want to say thank you again. I'm glad you made a decision in the midst of your grief to let your light shine. So I'm glad that resulted in this. So very happy about that. I will tell you ladies, as far as mindset goes, there's 3 things that I think are important. It's courage to just, feel the fear, do it anyway. Confidence that you can do it. And then be curious, curiosity, stay curious, keep learning, keep seeking out information, so that you can, just expand your mind and expand your experiences in the world. The link there is to a free strategy guide. So like Carlecka said, I believe in mindset, connections, and strategy. That is a link to a free strategy guide. You can download that and start doing, start planning, looking at your goals and starting planning. And so I thank you all for your time, your attention, your love, your appreciation. And I have had a great time. So thank you again, Carlecka, for creating the Epic series.
Yes, look, you all, Epic. Epic. So you all make sure you grab that free gift. Make sure you grab it. Even if you're saying, I'm not transitioning, but guess what? This is going to be good for you, even just to look at your goals, because we all should have goals, right? 2021 is the year to me of an abundance, right? And we can obtain those things. My word for this year was manifestation. Nikki, did you have a word for this year?
My phrase this year is level up.
Come on, level up, you all, level up. And so I love courage, confidence, and stay curious. One last thing, Nikki, before we go, give us one book that you feel that every woman definitely should read and it should be in her library.
So my book that I give to everybody is called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It is a great book. It is like, if you need some inspiration for like why you should get off of your butt and do what you need to do, that is the book to read.
All right, ladies, so you heard it. Go, because she's an avid reader. And so reading changes things in your life too. The information is in the book. Don't let the statistics say that we don't read, okay? Don't let it say we don't read. We read. So Selena said she would definitely go. Awesome. Serene said, thank you, Nikki. And yes, Nikki, we thank you. I know we're a little over time, but I just want to say thank you. This was a phenomenal session, and we appreciate your expertise and everything that you brought, your transparency and your vulnerability, even talking about, your mom, someone who's so dear to your heart and different things. And so many blessings to you in your endeavors. You all stay connected. If you're not connected, look up Nikki Rogers. That's across all social media. Nice and simple, you all, right? Simple. Go ahead and look her up on, I'm going to put her link up one more time, but go follow her on her social media platforms. She's huge on LinkedIn and Instagram and all of these things, but go follow her, stay connected so you can know what's up, what's happening, and reach out to her, right? If you're saying, I'm ready to transition, or I've transitioned and I have not hit that 6-figure mark yet, this is the person you want to go and talk to, right? So ask your questions, invest in yourself, and let's make a difference. Let's make a change. So ladies, you already know, when you change your perspective, you change your life. I am Carlecka Basnight-Menendez. Yes, all of that. And I will see you all, guess when? Tomorrow. And you already know what I'm getting ready to do. Type it in the chat. If you've been following me, you already know at this time, what am I getting ready to do? What am I getting ready to do? I need to see it in the chat. Nikki, you know what I'm getting ready to do?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so who gonna type this in the chat? Come on, somebody.
We're dancing, singing.
Ooh, no, Nikki, I'm gonna be getting into bed shortly. Look, Selena put it in there. Go
bed,
to bed. Because I have to go to work until I transition out. I have to go to work at 1 a.m. in the morning, but yeah. But it's all good. You keep showing up. It's no excuses, right? No excuses. You work your business, you go to work until you make those moves. It's no excuses. I do business and I still work a full-time job and I have a family. Okay. And I'm taking a class. What? Come on. So what excuses we have? None. Yes, Serene. Bedtime. Kimberly says, OMG, manifest is my 2020 word and level up is the name of my coaching business. Look at God, continue to be great, ladies. Well, welcome, Kimberly. We thank you for tuning in. Ladies, once again, I thank you all for tuning in and you all have a blessed night. We will see you on tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.